Hi, this is the third video in a row I've made tonight. Every time I make a video, I'm like, oh, let me check this out. I was playing last time with rotating static bodies and so forth, and the conveyor belt mechanism of the constant velocity. And just to show you where I am, I've kind of reset things a bit. Nothing's moving right now, except of course the falling rigid body. So let's add some linear with constant velocity to the floor static body. So that's going to move towards us. Oh, and the thing I realized is I didn't have the kinematic body was not perfectly on the floor. It was actually slightly embedded in the floor because, like, originally I just lifted it up without hitting control, and then I hit control when I went back down, but that doesn't align it with the floor. It aligns it with a grid offset from where it was. So to put that exactly on the floor, which I'm wondering if that makes a difference for the conveyor belt effect, let's manually place this. So I need it to go up one or two, up two. So now the kinematic body is sitting perfectly on the floor. And let me move this rigid body over. So this is just to prove to myself and you that the conveyor belt works on the rigid body but does not work on the kinematic body. You know, it's setting perfectly on the surface now, which it was in the last video. So then I wonder, and then of course we also saw when I rotated the static body, which you're not supposed to do, that I could push the rigid body up and down, but when the static body moved, it did not move the rigid body with it. So let's actually take that momentum away, just so we're back to normal now. All right, so, oops, I thought I fixed that. Oh, 0. See, this is why I test things. Make sure they're back to normal. Okay, so it's back the way I expected. Everything's back to not moving. So basically what I thought is, okay, a rigid body sitting on top of a static body does not move with the static body, which is not supposed to move. But what if I have a player or other kinematic body that I want to carry around a rigid body? So let's put this rigid body right on top of. I just have to raise this up by a little bit. Okay, so right now the rigid body is sitting on top of the player or kinematic body, and they're being still right now. But okay, so let's open up the script for the kinematic body and enable the movement again. So I'm going to move. I've currently got it going to move in the X direction positive, so I think this to the right. And I want to see if it carries the rigid body with it. And spoiler, it does. So that's one big difference between the kinematic body and improperly moving a static body. The kinematic body can carry a rigid body. What really blew my mind, though, let's make it not move. Let's make it rotate. So it rotates, but if you look, the rigid body is moving in the wrong direction. I don't know what that's about. Clearly, the kinematic body is impacting the rigid body, but I have no idea why it's spinning the wrong direction. So I did this already, but I haven't investigated further. What if I move the rigid body a little bit off center? So now our rotation is not center of mass. What happens here? That's just not right. No. No. I don't know what that's about. But there you go. So what do we do? Okay, what do we do? Both. Actually, let me recenter. What did I do? Go back. Let me recenter the rigid body. Oops. So it's directly on top of the block again. We'll go back to the kinematic body script. This is the kinematic body. We'll do it so it'll translate and rotate. I'm curious to see what happens there. Okay. That doesn't make sense. Well, it's moving like it's supposed to be, but it doesn't look like it's supposed to be. I mean, it's following the kinematic body, but it's rotating the wrong. It appears to be rotating the wrong way. And of course, it's off center because the kinematic body has no inertia to overcome, but the rigid body does have inertia to overcome. So that's why it kind of gets off center there. I was trying to tell if it rotates it wrong when it's pushing it's crooked too, but that's weird. And now I'm wondering, while I'm here, can a kinematic body carry another kinematic body? Okay, I'll just make a new kinematic body. New kinematic body. We'll have to give that a mesh and a collision shape. Collision shape's got to be a cube, or box, I should say. Mesh is a cube. And we got to move this up. Well, actually, let's move it with the transform. So we'll put that at 2, which should put on top of the floor. We'll move it over to the left. Okay. So let's take the rigid body. No. I got confused. I want to put the kinematic body on top of the other one. Okay. So I've got the non-animated kinematic body on top of an animated kinematic body. It doesn't care. Okay. So a kinematic body cannot carry another kinematic body. Can it push it? Let's put this over. So that's right next to it. So what happens if they kind of run into each other? They just pass through each other. They don't really, they each have infinite inertia, but they also, I mean, I guess they collide, but they don't push each other around or carry each other. I guess if you're programming a game and you had 2 kinetic bodies, you'd have to check for collisions yourself. Huh. Interesting. All right, I think that's all I had. Yeah, so the way these bodies interact is kind of interesting and fun to play with. So I hope this is useful for you. I learned a lot. Thanks.